Alright, today, or rather this evening, we find ourselves inside my four-wheel drive Land Rover Perentie. And yes, the battery volts are a little bit down. I left the isolation switch on, and there is a mystery current drain in this that I've never found in nearly 10 years. I'll get to it one day. Today I'm looking at doing something I haven't done in a long time, and swapping out the temp gauge. The temp gauge here does work quite well, but I tapped it one day about 4 years ago and the glass popped in, and I never got around to fixing it. I did find a spare one. This one has been refurbished, so it's got a little bit of blue there and all the rest. While we're in there, we're going to do something about the dash lights. I bought a bunch of T10 globes. I've got some blue and some green ones. I'm not sure they'll fit, so I've modified 4 of them to fit a sort of a narrower sitting or a narrower fitting. This one, years ago, I dismantled or disassembled this speedo and put a 10mm LED in the back of that. So that one lights up quite fine. We can see that well enough. But these ones with the glass popped in and these are all pretty dim. So we'll do something about that as well while we're here. Anyway, to do that, we need to get the dash out. So let's do that. Okay, now this has got a few different types of screws in it. I think that's a Robertson square drive in there. Don't think I've got a square drive on me. There is one in the dash somewhere, but I've got a flat blade screwdriver here. And I just realized I have stuck down a Robertson driver bit to the dash. I had obviously expected to have to do this at some point. Well, that was easier than I expected. They're going to, well, the speedo cable just popped off. That's nice. There's my LED for that one. So I wonder if we can get temp gauge out. Let's remove the new one out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. I'll tip this up as much as I can. I'll see if we can get to the back of the temp gauge. That one is fuel. Okay, so what I was expecting to find on the back of this was one 3-pin connector, but there's actually 3 individual connectors, and it's pretty hard to see it in here. It is right in the back in there, where the torch beam is about now. I've got to make note of all of that, so I'm going to do that now, mostly by taking a photo. The other wire we needed to remember on that post is was this double black one here. This one goes on the post. There's 2 wires there. And the mosquitoes have found me. Alright, so the thumb screws are removed. Let's see if zoom will help me out here. There is a black wire. Can we point in here? There's a black wire on one of those posts and it's on this side up. I have to remember that because I'm pretty sure they're polarized. We don't want the temp gauge going backwards. Alright, we have our old one out here. And we see this little black assembly here. That is the light fitting. It's different in style to the other one. And there's a red and black pin, a red and black connector hiding in right there. Bit hard to see all this. We'll try and get that out. The new one has a different light fitting in it. It has a fitting like this. So we'll improvise. We'll get something fitting in there anyway. Let's pull this out. Okay, we have the fittings out. The old T10 wedge globe there is looking pretty shagged. This is what we've got. It might just slide in here. It's not going to illuminate very well if I do that. I may have to make a different modification to this. We'll see how we go. Okay, so given some forethought, or some hindsight, I may take this inside and see if I can get the glass refitted myself. And that would fit the bigger globes in there. I might take this inside and muck around with it. Okay, we've got it inside. Let's see how we go here. I can see a resistor and a few things in here. There's this gasket which we're going to take off. And we need to work out how to get this open. I think this crimp probably comes off. I think this is held in with a gasket and it's just pushed past that little gasket. It needs a disassembly and a clean. I'm going to do some homework and see what we come up with. Okay, so excuse the air conditioner in the background. I've managed to clean the glass up a little bit, and yes, indeed, it has fallen back through here. I found that if I push through the back hole here, I can get to the back of the face and I can seat the glass back in here fairly well. But the problem is just the tiniest touch and it drops back in again. There's definitely a rubber gasket that's been designed to hold that in there, and it's perished. I may, I think at one point, put the new one in, but I really want this illumination to work. So I think I'm going to try some nice super glue now that I've treated this with alcohol, and hopefully it doesn't mist up on the inside of the glass. So I'll just use a sparing amount, I'll push it on gently and let it sit. Hopefully it stays in place. Okay, I may live to regret this. Let's get the camera at a better angle so I can see what's going on here. Very careful drops where it goes. I'm going to try and lead it around the edge of the glass a little bit. It's not going to look great. Before it sets, we're going to wipe it off the bezel. Now we're going to poke in here fairly much post haste. Try not to damage the mechanism inside. And hope that this works. I probably need a screwdriver, which I have taken all out to the vehicle. But that'll give me just a little bit of extra space to push that in there. Good thing is, being metal and plastic, a little bit of acetone can clear this up. There is a bit of alcohol in there, but the needle appears to be off the surface now. And once I do this screw up on the back here, it should pull it off the dial a little bit, I hope. It does seem to be seated there. I'm looking at the super glue spreading out around the edges, so we should be good, but I just need to keep the air flowing over this to keep the super glue from sticking to any fingerprints that are on it. So we'll let this set, we'll come back. Alright, so in the meantime, I'm going to take out one of these as per factory design, if there's any left here. Now these are a T10. I was a bit skeptical when I found that they wouldn't fit in the other one. That should fit in there. And that will fit happily in there. That's nice. That'll be really good if we can do that. So let's get my clip leads. Here's a pair of clip leads here. Plug them into our test panel, and we'll see if it actually makes contact. That's going to be quite bright. That'll be good if I can get all of that inside the dial, as opposed to one of these guys that's a bit dimmer. And of course got the polarity wrong. Alright, having trouble making contact here. There you go. These are a bit dimmer. I dialed these back a notch. These have got a 100 ohm resistor in them. I put two 390 ohm resistors in series on these, and they don't get warm at all. Probably last a lot longer. These get a bit hotter, which probably means shorter lifespan, but at the same time much easier to replace. So okay, that'll go back in there if the dial will stay in place on this one. Okay, so the dial glass seems to have gone in fairly firmly. So now we need to reassemble the bits that I took off here, like the brass washer here and this little nut that I didn't have a correct socket for, and my normal pair of pliers for doing this are in the vehicle. So we'll get this back on for a bit. I'll tighten all that up. That should pull the dial back just about a millimeter or so off the face of that. There is a bit of mark from the alcohol in there, and maybe a little bit from the super glue, but as I said, I have a spare one, so worst case scenario, this will work until I get the right light fitting for the back of that other unit. It didn't come with it. So there are apparently different variations. Anytime I go, yeah, I'll buy spare parts, I'll find out there's 2 or 3 different types of things they do. But anyway, let's put this back together. Okay, to save myself a little bit of time, I'm going to mark the positive side of that terminal there, because there was a red wire under the dash. I don't know if that's going to be accurate, because quite often colours lie when you're talking about Lucas Electrics. But anyway, let's have a look at how this would look from the front. Let's turn our main lights off. That's going to be considerably easier to see than the other one, so that'll be good. Let's go put this back in and see if it works still. Alright, so we're back to awkward angles again. Going to take our meter here and drop it back in the panel and try and get it mostly the correct orientation. Fortunately, I've got to juggle a torch in my mouth. Aha! Alright, we're on. Now for thumb screws. Now that I've put the two thumb screws on, I realised there was a ring terminal that's grounded that needed to go to it. Where are you, little ring terminal? That might be why my dash lights are dim. I'm missing one. It's fallen out of the back of stuff. Alright. Where's my little grounded terminal that's hiding away in here? So that is 1, 2, and there should be a third one for the back of that. There's a third one there. There's my ring terminal. You need to go on top of that thumb screw. Alright, so we undo this one and put that on top. We'll be back. Alright, now what we need to do before we do much else is check if the dash light's the right way around. I was right, the red wire was not positive. Let's swap them around. That's better. I've got to turn my wipers off too. Okay, let's try now. I see green glow. That's good. Right, now we hook the rest of the wires up. Now I've got to remember which way round they were. Alright, I'm going to go back over my old video and have a look. Okay, so as best I can tell from my photos, the black wire there goes to the ground in the middle, the double green goes to the positive, and the green and blue wire goes to the negative. My dash lights seem to work. I think that's pretty good. I'll find out if it works when I actually take it for a drive somewhere. Now while I'm in here, I'm going to pull these other light fittings out, and I notice up the end there's also one of those other different style of fittings. So interesting. I'll see how many dash lights I can replace. Now this is in one of the other gauges. This is probably the style of fitting that was meant to go in that VDO gauge I've got. So as I said, different standards even in between two different gauges in the back of this. This vehicle very much was a bitzer. It was a bits of pieces that they put together to make a sellable vehicle. Yep, definitely. Okay, we'll improvise with that. Alright, we're back inside again. And these are little bayonet cap globes, little tiny ones. I haven't seen these in a long time. My old man has a big collection of these, and I grew up with that set of shelves on my desk that was full of all these different little automotive globes. Now, I can probably take this base, squeeze a resistor and a couple of LEDs into it, and make it work. It would involve sacrificing this globe though. Okay, I have a couple of little 2 LED in series here. The way I came up with these was I took one of these, when autofocus will feel it. I took my reflow gun here and set it over the top and flicked the top of this off with a spudger, and then unsoldered 2 of these little bits off the side. Then super glued them together with positive to negative on the top. I'm going to take 2 390 ohm resistors and put them on the back of that. And then I'll bust the glass out of this and fit that. And we can see these ones are not terribly bright by comparison. So, and this one's quite black on the top. I'm going to include this step in the process here because there's probably a skill that's a bit lost to time these days. What I've done is I've basically got a cloth and tapped this in the vise, hopefully not too tight as to damage that. Now this globe runs loose in here. and we'll unsolder that tail wire, and if we do it right, we should be able to lift that whole thing right off the base. There we go. So when you talk about these globes, this is the actual globe section, and that will probably still work, but we don't need that. We just need the base here. We can whack a couple of resistors and some heat shrink, and then whack our LEDs on the top there, something like that. Okay, we're just going to make room for the new LED here. We're going to put a bit of fresh solder on here, heat this up good and hot, and then solder gun it out. Now we've got a clear hole, empty the solder gun, or solder sucker, I don't know. Let's zoom out a little bit. We take our LED with 2 resistors on it, and we make note of the polarity. Not that it really going to matter too much. That one's the positive one. That goes through the hole in the bottom. We'll solder that in. This one here, we're going to do a bit of trickery. We're going to fold this back up on itself, because in these, that one goes up and over this way, and we're just going to solder that on the edge there. We're going to hope nothing shorts out. Let's solder this bit on. Okay, we're pretty good. Now we flush cut the base off, and I will leave that long because I want to see how well that will fit. Will this go in? Yeah, we will need to change the way we solder that. That'll need to be inside that lip. Okay, so in order to get this in the globe fitting, I did need to flow a little bit of hot glue into the body of that, just to allow me to actually rotate it without twisting the resistors off. Let's see if we work. We do. Awesome. A globe holder. Alright, I'll finish the other one and we'll go put these in. Okay, I've got to go back to putting the torch in my mouth again, but we'll see how we go here. Alright. The other problem I have is some time ago my dimmer blew a fuse, and I have a little bypass wire here that's running everything. So yeah, that gets interesting. Haha, contact cleaner did the trick. Alright, let's put the dash back in place and see if I've broken anything. Alright, let's turn our interior lights off, and it is very dark in here now. Okay, much better. I can actually see where everything is. I hope that actually this looks a little bit more washed out than it does in reality. Through my eyesight, this is all very clear and easy to read. Can we autofocus on that? Maybe. In any case, it looks way better than it was. I don't know how it'll go with the dimmer, but oh crap, where's my light switch? There. So we are down on battery a little bit, so we will give that a charge up, or I'll roll it out into the sun tomorrow and let the solar panel catch up. I've got a couple of screws to put back in here, and we'll find out in the morning if I got the temp gauge wired properly. If I didn't, it'll probably blow a fuse, I'm sure. Anyway, the photos I took, I'm pretty sure were accurate. So yeah, and I'll give this all a bit of a clean up. It's very dusty in here. Alright, see you all in the next one. I hope it was interesting.